Okay, so how do you get your mounting plate into the assembly, and how do you get started with these things? Up to now, we've got our link together. We have our control block and our control arm ready to go. So all we need to do is insert our mounting plate in here and get the elements associated with it. So your mounting plate should look something similar to this. You have a hole pattern that's going to match the hole pattern on your control block, so that way you can actually put that together. So I'm going to be looking for that. We also have some mounting posts in here. The height in these things is arbitrary. 4 or 5 inches, however high you want to make them. 4 inches seems to be about right. And then you also want to make sure that the sketch associated with this is showing. So my boss extrude, should have renamed that, but I didn't. I can right click on that, I can turn off those sketches, and I can turn those back on again. It's important to have those on so you can actually see what you're doing, because if you remember correctly, we're not going to fully define these. We're going to define those once we get our links in place. So let's go ahead and insert that in here. So if I'm going to go over here to my assembly, I'm going to turn on my origin so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to grab the top of the feature manager tree and just drag that in here and connect the origins together. It'll give me a coincident relationship with them. I don't need this anymore, so I can save it and go ahead and discard it and go ahead and open that up. Now we have it. We have our sketch available over here, and the assumption here is you're going to go ahead and put in your control block in here in its proper location. But what I want to show with this video, what I wanted to show you with this video, is how to put in the links and how to get those established. So I'm going to go to Browse, go to the appropriate folder, and it's going to be under my IS folder, Linkage Assembly, and I want to open up my my link. So link modified is what I'm using here. And it actually brings up the configuration where I have the slot cut in it, so you probably have that too. I showed you how to do that, although I didn't do it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate that. Some students had a question about this. How do I rotate that component now that it's in there? Well, it's underneath the Move component in the Assembly tab in the Command Manager. Go to Rotate Component, and then grab that component and go ahead and move it. So the anticipation is that with my control block here, I'm going to go ahead and have that link close to it, so that the control knob on the control arm will move inside that slot. But this is how you put it together. We're going to go ahead and mate these surfaces. Mate these surfaces together. And they might be coplanar as they are. We're going to go to the green check mark and keep the mate relationship open. And we're going to click on these two surfaces, and now they're going to be not only coincident, but concentric too. So that has the ability to move around. So that may not be in the right location. We might, in consideration with some of the other elements we're going to put in here, it might be a little bit too close. We can now take that circle and move it off to the side. Go to the green check mark. And then to get out of that, we're still in that sketch. What we've done is we edited the sketch within that part, within the assembly. So we need to kind of back up and get ourselves out of there. So the way you do that is you go back to click on Edit Component, and it takes us out of there. And now we're back into the assembly, and everything's being put together just right. So that mate, I may not like that concentric mate, so I'm going to go ahead and redefine that. I'm going to click on that surface to unselect it. Maybe click on this surface to select a new one. That works out pretty well. That way it gives me a lot more motion. Gives me a lot more, perhaps horizontal motion in that direction. So to copy this, I'm going to click on that, drag it off to the side. I'm going to right click on this and go to Properties, Component Properties. I'm going to pick a new one. This time I'm going to pick one without the lever on it. So maybe to the 9-inch. Go to OK. Now that's a little long. We don't have to use all these elements in here, but I'm going to go ahead and establish some relations. We're going to make those concentric with each other. Click on this face and maybe the bottom of that face. We'll make a coincident relationship there. Green check mark. And what we want with this lever arm, and probably the 9-inch may not be appropriate, but what we want to do is be able to link that to the next one. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and right click on that. Let's go back to something that's a little bit smaller than that, maybe the 4-inch or the 3-inch. So go to OK. Now it goes into error because that one concentric relationship doesn't really work anymore. Let's go ahead and edit that and pick a new surface. Instead of the missing face here, let's go ahead and delete that and click on this face instead. And that looks like it'll work pretty well. So let's go ahead and take that lever arm, that lever, that link I should say, sorry about that, sorry about the terminology, but it is a link. We're going to go ahead and click on that and go ahead and get the longer one, and we're going to go to maybe the 9 inch this time, just like we did last time. And then you want to go ahead and establish the appropriate relationships here too. So this is already defined at the top of the mounting post. That post is the same height, so you could probably do a relationship like maybe this surface to that surface to make those concentric, and then maybe this surface to this surface. We'll make that coincident, and that would still line it up to that post. So you want to make sure you don't round trip your relationships in here. And that's on top. Actually, it should be on the bottom. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and scroll that down. Let's click on that last one we entered and go ahead and redefine that. So we don't want that face, nor do we want this face. We want perhaps this face and this face. Now bring it to the bottom. So maybe that face and that face for a concentric relationship. You can put in whatever values you want in here. That really doesn't work too well in here, but you want to make sure you have the ability to go ahead and make modifications to this as you put this together. So it's kind of fun to do that. You have a lot of variables. You can pick different links. You can pick different link assemblies in here, different connections between them. So you can do different assembly relations in here in order to get a different assembly configuration in here, so to speak. Yeah, so move those around, try different linkages in here, and I think you'll find that works out pretty well. So, we'll see you in class.